Hi everybody, I'm Norman Van Aken and welcome back to the Treasure Book series. I haven't done one for a little while, but coming back strong with this one. This is in the pantheon of treasure books of mine. Judy Rogers of the famed Zuni Café out of San Francisco wrote this book. I believe that if you were to ask a lot of the top chefs in America and perhaps beyond, their top 10 books, this would be on many of the chefs' lists. And I've seen and heard chefs talk about this particular book. Judy Rogers had an interesting twist of fate in her life. She was an exchange student, high school times, and the high school sent her to France, where she ended up by sheer luck, I think. I don't believe they were family connections. If you can imagine this, and if you don't know this name, please look it up, but the Trogreau family from Rouen was where she went to live for the period of the year that she was going to high school in France. What an experience that was, and you can tell because she talks about it in this phenomenal book. Being 16 or 17 years old and suddenly exposed to the legacy of the Trogreau that still carries on in these days. She's a Californian by birth, and her restaurant, Zuni Café, which still is ongoing despite her untimely death at too young of an age, is where Janet and I went when we were on my first book tour in 1988. The publisher asked us in every city that we went to which restaurant we'd like to go for, whether we had time because of the media events. If we would be doing lunch or a dinner, we had time for one of them. And we went to lunch at the Zuni Cafe. And I still remember sitting there. There was a fireplace, there was a long bar, and we ordered the famous roasted chicken. The reason this is a treasure book, though, of course, is not just about her going to high school in France, nor the roasted chicken, but her philosophy and the, speaking of the Trogreau, there is the inscription by Jean-Baptiste Trogreau right there, first edition. 2002 is when this book came out. It's really a unique book, and I don't mean unique like in a code word for weird. It is just particular to her astonishing mind and personality. This book tells the story of the restaurant, and that's worthwhile. But it also tells the story of her delicious way of looking at life and her education. And it is so powerful, it's so gripping that while as Japanese, I set out to learn the repertory of French cuisine, classical and traditional, reading cookbooks every night after work. I pored over Richard Olney's Simple French Food. That's one of the treasure books. The thorough practical lessons reminded me of Jean Trogreau. I cooked through Elizabeth David's volumes on French food. Got that book up there, partially in the kitchen and partially in my head, and almost incidentally made tentative forays into her brilliant compendium of Italian food. This too sounded like the generous, honest cooking Jean-Baptiste Trogreau craved and demanded, and I fell for Waverly Root when I saw he subdivided France based on cooking fats. Waverly Root. That book is over my desk, Waverly Root on Food. A fantastic book, a treasure book. And I haven't done that for my series yet. Thank you, Judy, for reminding me. A lot of people get a cookbook and they skip over the intro and prefatory work like this. What to think about before you start and while you were cooking. This would be a mistake with this book because it's common sense and it's so insightful. Recipes do not make food taste good. People do. Once you start to prepare the excellent ingredients you have chosen, you have constant opportunity to optimize them. But in order to do this, you need to taste as you cook. This is information, advice I give to my chefs all the time. It would be wonderful to go through this book for about 5 hours with you, because that's how strongly I feel about it. And I've shared this book with a lot of my chefs. You can see all the stickies in here that cause me to just stop in my tracks and go and just say, I gotta look at this again. Consider your tools. I just wish I had known her and had the chance to really cook with her. Choosing Wines by Gerald Asher, one of the best in the world on wines. This rich pork stock, I'm pretty sure this is where she would get pig's heads from Chinatown. And she writes, the pig's head is a dramatic thing. Passing through the kitchen their first or second week at Zuni, more than a few servers and cooks have recoiled at the sight of a caramel-colored 15-pound pig's head peering from the stock pot. This whole thing is just fantastic. I see that I have other things. As you know, if you've been watching my series, that I am want, W-O-N-T, I am want to put things in my books, mementos of time. And I know that there's some here. You mostly saw, yes, black and white here, but there are some beautiful photographs in here too. I hesitate to even imagine, maybe not, but probably on Thrift Books or some such site, you could get this book for much less than it's worth. Okay, so here's something that's popped out. Here's the menu from Saturday, November the 9th, 2002. We went back to California because the first time was in 1988. And yeah, let's go ahead and take a close-up on that. And if you like to take a screenshot, folks, please do. I would definitely be doing that right now, just to absorb whatever information I could from Judy Rogers. They are into oysters at Zuni Café. Look at this. The oyster list. Then from another thing in the book here that I just picked out, my dear friend Coleman Andrews, who sometimes watches my videos, I think, he told me he did, who is one of the co-creators of Savoir magazine. These are all Savoir magazines over here. This whole row is all Savoir magazines. Savoir is back out now, by the way, so you can start collecting as I did. Here's a picture of Judy with the co-owner of the restaurant, Vince Calgano. And so, yeah, like I was saying, this is the magazine article. Who wrote this? Thomas McNamee. Oh, yeah. He worked directly with Alice Waters a lot, if I'm remembering correctly. And so a big, beautiful spread on the Zuni Cafe here. And I'll go back, and now that I'm remembering from doing this, I'll go back tomorrow. I'll leave the book out of the table just as a reminder. I'll go back tomorrow and read this wonderful article from Savoir magazine again. A penultimate California restaurant, of course, along with Chez Panisse and Spago and 4 or 5 others. I mean, California. What can you say? Buttermilk mashed potatoes, vegetables, and wine. It's just, it's the most brilliant cookbook. It really is. This tab here says good advice, and I've got an arrow. The trickiest mayonnaise to making a 1 egg yolk one. And then she goes into that, because as home cooks, there's a lot of times when you want to make something as small as a 1 egg yolk mayonnaise, right? 4-minute egg grabiche. A bookmark from my favorite bookstore in Miami. And, well, it was in Miami Beach too, but Books and Books, owned by the great Mitchell Kaplan. A treasure to our community, and you can buy books from them online. I love this quote. It's on both sides of this bookmark. It's by Borges. He says, "I cannot sleep unless I am surrounded by books." So see, here I am, where I can sleep. No kidding. Oh, okay. I don't know, what's this have to do in here? Ducasse, Paillard, Robichon, Savoy, Avangricken. I don't even know. I'm gonna have to go through this tomorrow and see why it's in this particular book. I'm sure there's a reason for it. Oh, this might because this was when I was on the board of the James Beard Foundation. Anyway, like I say, I will go through that. That is not particular to this book. I think I'll leave it out here as a matter of fact. And seems to be one or two more things in here. Another bookmark. Another Cutting Up Rabbit and What to Do with the Parts. This is a college education. A culinary college education is what this book is. This is an investment in your culinary education like few other books. Despite all the books that I have over here, I'm going to say without a doubt this is in the top 10 for the books that really affected me greatly. The blurb, the list of people giving her blurbs: Paula Wolfert, Chuck Williams, the man who created Williams-Sonoma, Alice Waters, Marion Cunningham, Deborah Madison, our friend Harold McGee, who wrote the amazing book on food and cooking, and became a friend of ours in Spain when we were traveling together. So there it is, folks. Go see if you can find this one, the Zuni Café Cookbook. I promise you that if you love to cook, this is going to be as important to you as any book you will probably ever buy. Some people might revere, and rightfully so, Mastering the Art of French Cooking by Julie Child. And others might revere Fanny Farmer. And this is somewhere in that mix, the all-timers, all-time great books. All right, it's obvious that this is something that's truly important to me, and I'm glad to be able to share it with you. So I'll bid you adieu. I hope you're having a good day and a good night, and I'll talk to you again soon. Thank you.